Hello, and welcome back. Sam here, and I wanted to give you an update on how my visit with the bariatric psychologist went. I know I've mentioned on my website, slimandsam.com, as well as in previous videos on my channel, that I've already seen once my psychologist, Dr. Jeff Smith, and today I went in for a follow-up to go over the assessment results and his final decision on whether I could proceed to the next step in the surgery process, or if he had other stipulations he wanted me to address before moving forward. First, I really want to say I really like Dr. Smith. He's very knowledgeable, he's very straightforward, he's very upfront about his feelings about weight loss surgery. He's very much for it. He believes that it's probably the most medically sound and most beneficial option for individuals that have a lot of weight to lose. And he really believes in the procedures. And he said it was funny because in his training, to get to his level of education, throughout that entire process, not any one of his professors or his mentors ever considered weight loss surgery a viable option for weight loss. So he said it's an odd paradigm shift to come 180 to thinking that weight loss surgery was not an option to it being the best option. For those that are super morbidly obese like myself, to lose weight and achieve a healthful life. So I really do enjoy seeing him, and I ended up taking some assessments the first time, and I wanted to go over those with you and let you know what that process was like. Hopefully if you're watching these, either you want to know what's going on with me, or maybe you're interested in the process. And like I said before, I'm in no way an expert, but this at least will enlighten you on what the process is like for me at Wake Forest Baptist here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Dr. Smith, he doesn't quite believe in assessments like most other psychologists do, and I have to agree with him. Having gone through a counseling degree myself and having given assessments and worked with them in statistics, I really am not a big believer in assessments as indicators for an actual human being. To think that somebody could fill in some bubbles, that's fill, I'm from the South, fill in some bubbles, and that would indicate who that person is, to me is ridiculous. And I'm very lucky and beneficial that that's his viewpoint, on a couple of reasons. Number one, he doesn't require as many assessments, at least paper assessments, throughout his program. Really, there were only three. There was a Beck's Depression Inventory, by Aaron Beck. There was an MBMD, which was originally developed for chronic illness, or patients with chronic illnesses, that was then adapted for bariatric patients. And there was one about eating habits, and binge eating, and how often do I eat, and how I feel when I eat, and those type of things to gauge my emotional eating situation. The rest were just regular intake papers, my size, my weight, and those type of health indicators that are important for him to know. And he even mentioned himself that usually other bariatric psychologists would have 20 to 30 different assessment tools with 200 to 300 questionnaires that they had to fill out in order for them to have an accurate viewpoint of how this patient will do after post-operatively. And I'm not knocking the psychologists that do that type of assessment, but in my opinion, I like the qualitative side of things. I like to actually sit with people and talk with them. And Dr. Jeff Smith is one of those people. He took a look at my assessment results, and he gave me this paper. So Jeff Smith, I've got the fan on, and it's a breakdown of his assessment of the results, coupled with his assessment of us meeting last time, and then some tips and suggestions as I go through the process. It ended up being very interesting, and we talked about this during the session today. On one indicator, the Beck Depression Inventory, which is, in my opinion, probably the most widely used depression inventory, if not in the country, in the world, I scored, I think, 18, which was very mild depression. And it's not a hidden secret that I have had depression. I mentioned it on my blog, I mentioned it in videos, and I've dealt with that, and I believe a lot of us deal with that and cope with our own ways. But on that inventory, I'm slightly depressed, mildly depressed. But on the MBMD that he gave me, it said, "Oh my God, you are critically depressed, a 95 on a 100. You are hopeless, and you are without any kind of hope, and you believe that your life is bleak and the outlook is horrible. I was floored. I had no idea. And he sat there and he looked at me and said, when I was writing my performance evaluation, or not performance evaluation, my evaluation of whether you proceed in the program, I was torn because I've got two different inventories here telling me two different stories. And thankfully, he's an individual that really puts stock in his one-on-one interaction with me. So from his discussion with me and from our brief, but I think relatively well-guided conversation, he really thought that the MBMD that really put me critically depressed and all of that bleak outlook was probably not very accurate. And he went really with the BDI, too, the Beck's Depression Inventory. And he okayed me to move on to the next step for surgery. Now, many psychologists will do different things. They're going to require different inventories, and they're going to require different types of assessments. So be prepared to take those. And even somebody that doesn't believe in assessments still has to have them, both for insurance and for his own records. So thankfully, I only had to take 3. One was 100 questions. One was, I think Beck's is only 25, 30, and the eating inventory was about 11 or 12. So 30 minutes, I felt very fortunate. And he was very supportive, very much for me continuing on. He thinks I'm in the right place, doing the right thing. He was very uplifting and empowering. So I have to say that I was very happy with my appointment today. So I think that's about it. I talked about the inventories, I talked about the results, and I talked about the assessments. And I believe that's good. If you have any questions, always feel free to email me, or if you're in my family, call me, because I have no problem going over this with you. I try to be as upfront with you guys as possible. I spent almost my entire life hiding in seclusion and let my feelings sort of fester under the surface. And like I told my wife today, I am tired of hiding, and I would rather put my feelings out there and let people know who I am, as opposed to trying to hide in the shadows for any longer. And that needed to happen whether I'm getting weight loss surgery or whether I'm losing weight another way. That's part of me healing. And as I go through these mental battles and obstacles, it's part of that process of overcoming them. So I do hope I'm up front. I don't like to hide anything. I like to be straightforward with how I am. And I double-checked with my wife to make sure she was okay with it, because this is my blog, but she is my life, so I want to make sure that everything's fine there. Okay, I think I'm running out of things to talk about, and I'm sure that you're probably falling asleep by now. If not, thank you for making it through that long discussion. I will be seeing Dr. Fernandez Thursday for my second consult with him, and then I will be seeing Amber again on the 11th of October. So step 1 is done. Step 2 will get there, and then I'll hopefully keep you up to date along the way. So if there's anything you want to know from me, you know where to find me. Email, website, blog, Twitter, Facebook. Just let me know, and I hope you're having a great day.